The chime of the doorbell echoed through the house like a dagger to my heart. It was our anniversary, and I had planned everything meticulously: a romantic dinner, candles lit, champagne on ice, and a surprise gift that I knew she would love. But as I opened the door, the air around me seemed to thicken, compressing my lungs until it became impossible to breathe. "Hey," came the casual greeting from the man standing on my doorstep, hand in his pocket, smirk on his face. He wasn't just any man. He was her lover. My vision blurred for a moment as a wave of nausea crashed over me. How could she do this to me, especially today? "What the hell are you doing here?" I spat out between gritted teeth, my voice dangerously low. The sound of my own voice snapped me back into focus, grounding me enough to feel the rage simmering beneath my skin. He shrugged nonchalantly, stepping inside with an air of confidence that made my blood boil. "She invited me, man. Figured you'd want to know." His eyes scanned the room, landing on the dining table set up for two. "Looks like you were planning something special. Too bad it won't be just the two of you anymore." I clenched my fists, the adrenaline coursing through my veins making my skin prickle with anticipation. "Get out," I growled, but he stayed rooted to where he stood, completely unperturbed. Before I could react further, the sound of footsteps approached from the hallway. My wife appeared, her face pale and flushed with a mix of fear and regret. Her eyes met mine, and she flinched, clearly aware of the storm brewing within me. "Please, let's talk about this," she pleaded, her voice trembling. She reached out towards me, but I stepped back, not wanting to touch her, not wanting to feel her warmth when all I wanted was to burn away the betrayal. The intruder chuckled softly, leaning against the wall with an almost bored expression. "Go ahead, talk. Just remember, you did this to yourself." Her lover's audacity fueled my anger, turning it into a hot, blinding flame. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to lash out, to tear him apart with my bare hands. But instead, I turned to her, my voice cold and steely. "You invited him here today?" Her eyes filled with tears, and she shook her head rapidly. "No, not like this. I wanted to break it off, to fix things with us. I didn't expect him to come here." "How noble of you," I interrupted, sarcasm dripping from every word. "And what exactly were you planning to fix?" "Huh?" She swallowed hard, her gaze dropping to the floor. "I made a mistake, but I realized how much I still love you. Please, give me another chance." But I couldn't hear her excuses. Not now. Not when the evidence of her infidelity stood mere feet away, mocking me. The room felt too small, the walls closing in as I struggled to process the reality laid out before me. Her lover sighed dramatically, pushing himself off the wall. "Look, I think I've seen enough of this melodrama. Let's get straight to the point, shall we?" He took a step closer to her, his presence oozing arrogance. "She may have wanted out, but I don't think she'll pass up one last time." My wife gasped, shaking her head vigorously. "No, that's not what I want." But I hardly registered her words. All I saw was red. My vision narrowed, homing in on the smug look on her lover's face, the defiance in his posture. Without thinking, I lunged at him, grabbing him by the collar, fingers digging into the fabric. "You have no right to speak to her like that." He laughed, wrenching himself free from my grasp effortlessly. easily overpowering me. Man, you really think you can take me on? Look at you. You're pathetic. Tears streamed down my wife's face as she watched the scene unfold, her anguished cries blending into the background noise. The chaos of emotions within me was deafening, drowning out all reason. I needed to do something, anything to reclaim control. Reeling from his words, I barely noticed as he grabbed my wrist, twisting it behind my back with a force that made me grunt in pain. "Let's see how tough you really are," he sneered, shoving me towards the dining table. The edge of the table dug into my stomach as I was forced onto it, the white cloth scraping against my cheek. My breath came in ragged gasps, a mixture of pain and fury overwhelming me. "Stop this," I panted, struggling against his hold. "Oh, I will, but first, let's have a little fun," he taunted, releasing me long enough to grab a bottle of wine chilling in an ice bucket nearby. With a sickeningly triumphant smile, he smashed the bottle against the table, leaving a jagged shard in his hand. Blood trickled down along the glass, dripping onto the pristine white tablecloth below. My heart hammered wildly in my chest, trapped somewhere between terror and indescribable rage. This couldn't be happening, not here, not today. My wife sobbed uncontrollably, covering her mouth with her hands as if trying to stifle her own screams. "Please, don't hurt him," she begged. For a moment, the piercing hate radiating from the broken glass threatened to sear itself into my very soul. The metallic tang of blood hung heavy in the air, mingling with the lingering scent of roses and candle wax. And then, in a flash of clarity, I realized that this twisted game of their creation might never end unless I found a way to turn the tides. With renewed resolve, I eyed my captor, mentally calculating the distance between myself and the makeshift weapon he held. Every muscle in my body tensed, poised for action. It was now or never. As he leaned over me, intent on delivering another blow, I acted quickly, grabbing his arm and using the momentum to flip him onto the ground. His shock yelp reverberated in my ears as I landed hard on top of him, the cold metal of the broken bottle inching close to his throat. I could feel his pulse racing beneath my fingertips, his breath hitching, the sharp edges pressed into his skin, threatening to cut even deeper. In the distance, my wife squealed, falling to her knees beside us. "No, you can't kill him." Her voice was nothing but a distant echo compared to the roar of vengeance bubbling up within me. How dare they toy with my life, with my love? Now, I had them exactly where I wanted them, powerless to stop the storm I had unleashed upon them both. Fingers tightening around the handle of the glass blade, heart pounding in my chest,